Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle, where I talk about electronic music, both new and old. And today I'm talking about the third album from David Guetta, Pop Life. I think a lot of people are aware of the fact that I hate David Guetta, but I haven't really gotten the chance so far to talk about precisely why, thanks to the fact that I actually liked his first album and was just mostly ambivalent on his second. But this is where the real trash begins, and Guetta starts to really cement himself as the complete joke of a producer that he is. Right then. In my first draft of this review, written last year, I had expected to talk about the Guetta Garage team-up and who was most responsible for the success/tolerability of Guetta's first two albums. Now, I had planned to say that this album, in a way, was proof that Guetta had the most creative control in any given album of his, because despite being entirely co-produced by Rakim Garage, Pop Life was actually complete garbage. There's no way the guy who helped give Jean-Michel Jarre his fantastic techno makeover in 2000 be responsible for this crap stain of an album, right? But coming back to it now, I realized that actually, if there's anywhere where Garage's influence was most obvious, it was here. I went over to preview what Rakim Garage's style was like when he wasn't helping out Guetta, and notice that he has some solo albums, such as Invasion from 2009, and having now listened to that entire album, it's not that stylistically far away from Pop Life, just with far fewer vocals and much more fleshed out, but it becomes really obvious who the real mastermind behind Pop Life is. Pop Life is also grossly mislabeled in another way. As a pop album, it fails on a very basic level. Pop music generally works best when the songs actually get stuck in your head, and to be honest, I have to really think about how the songs on here go in order to get them playing in my head. Now, when you really get down to it, Pop Life is just a straight techno album. Everything is really dark and industrial, and all the melodies are more understated when they exist at all. Usually the melody is just in the bass line, and more often than not, the vocals feel kinda layered on as an afterthought, second half of Raise Your Weapon style. So yeah, if you went into this album expecting David Guetta's Pop Life, you'd be disappointed to instead find Rakim Garage's Techno Life. Hooray for false advertising. Though even if it were labeled Rakim Garage's Techno Life featuring David Guetta, sort of, it's still just kinda subpar as far as techno albums go. I don't hate it purely from a sonic perspective. I suppose it gets the job done decently. But the false advertising is only the beginning of the problems I have with this album. Now, first of all, the version I'm used to of this album is David Guetta's continuous mix. Also the second disc of the deluxe version on iTunes. My years of listening to deadmau5 has conditioned me to always go for the continuous mix whenever the option is available. And well, yeah, while I probably would prefer this album mixed together as one big mix than as little separate pieces, because the individual pieces really tend not to be worth caring about, this is still a pretty half-assed continuous mix. I'm not gonna say it's the worst ever, not gonna be able to top that unofficial mix of album title goes here, but it's still got some serious problems. Transitions between songs, while at least always on the beat, often feel kinda abrupt or not really smooth. The worst example is the track Delirious transitioning into the track Baby When the Light, which abruptly cuts off the former and goes right into the latter without actually attempting a transition at all. Nice! You'd think it wouldn't be too much to ask for a famous DJ to, actually do his job, but apparently no. Still gonna cut corners and be lazy. As for thoughts on specific songs, most of them, my opinion, starts and ends with, yeah, that's serviceable, I suppose. Chris Willis and J.D. Davis reprise their roles as main vocalists. Chris Willis, big surprise, is easily the best singer in the whole bunch, but he usually just feels kinda out of place. Like, the beats don't really compliment him well. He's nice to hear, and he's still giving it his all, but he usually isn't enough to actually redeem the songs he appears on. Sometimes we get a guest helping out on the beats. For instance, Sebastian Ingrosso and Steve Angelo of Swedish House Mafia fame help out on Every Time We Touch, and also, despite Chris Willis being Chris Willis, this was one of the most unpleasant and least fun tracks on the whole thing, being way too dark sounding for its own good. Just not fun to listen to at all. El Toca Disco helps out on Tomorrow Can Wait, but fails to make it stand out in any way. Some guy named Fred Rister, who also helped produce a lot of Guetta's later work, remixed two of the better singles on here, Love Is Gone and Baby When the Light, although both suffer from build-up and drop sound nothing alike syndrome, and Baby When the Light is basically the same half-finished song copy-pasted twice, feeling overly long and tiring. As far as other vocals go, we also get Tara McDonald, Juliet, and Kozai handling the female vocals, and for the most part, they, big surprise, do not leave a big impression. Delirious is decent, I suppose. Oh, and before I forget, this album also brings back Love Don't Let Me Go Walking Away with the Egg, completely unchanged from Guetta Blaster, making this the third album in a row where Guetta recycles that same damn song. Oh, and of course, this track is still by a long shot the best song on the album, so that should really be saying something about the quality of the rest of this album. Anyway, I guess that leaves J.D. Davis to talk about. Like, you know how I said in the Guetta Blaster review that I used to think the guy was insufferable? Well, all the bad memories came back here. J.D. Davis, I think, is kind of the opposite of Chris Willis, in that Willis is best when he's working in his upper range. Davis's upper range, on the other hand, is really whiny and annoying, and he gets grading in seconds on basically every song he appears on, especially This Is Not a Love Song. Though, I guess he is somewhat tolerable on the closer, Winner of the Game, which resembles some of those fake rock songs on Guetta Blaster like Money and Get Up, although that track also abruptly cuts off at the end because can't have a somewhat satisfying ending, can we, Guetta? But as I was saying, Davis is really bad here, but he's nothing compared to Thailand on the track Joan of Arc, which is probably the worst song in the whole bunch. This guy is even whinier sounding than J.D. Davis, and on top of that, there's some distractingly bad lyrics here. From what I can tell, Thailand is using a metaphor of the death of Joan of Arc to describe how a girl the singer sees at the club is hot. Get it? Because Joan of Arc was burned at the stake, and the girl that Thailand sees at the club is hot, like Joan of Arc. Please also die in a fire. Oh, and the beat isn't much help either. It's basically the auto-tuned version of Rock and Roll by Daft Punk. We all know how much I love that song. So, overall, this album is complete garbage. It's a nondescript techno album done mostly in Joachim Garraud style, passing itself off as a pop album by David Guetta. While I believe Guetta at least participated in every song's creation and tried to put in something resembling pop himself, it still feels completely wrong. And there's no reason to listen to this when albums like Joachim Garraud's Invasion exist. That album's not only fairly similar in sound, but actually really good. Even the song with David Guetta on it. And not to mention, it's a really ambitious 3-hour-long double album that somehow justifies itself despite being overly long and repetitive sometimes. Not unlike that new Eric Prydz album from the beginning of this year. I mean, it's no masterpiece, but I had way more fun listening to that. Go listen to that album instead. But this album, this one isn't even particularly good for what it is, let alone what it's pretending to be. I mean, it's not a complete failure as a techno album, it at least makes sense in that context, but the beats range from generic to unpleasant, the songs are totally unmemorable, the continuous mix is lazy and cuts corners, and there is just no reason you should ever have to listen to this. Just completely awful. That actually felt kind of good. But I'm overall feeling a 4.5 out of 10. But of course, this is just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it, but I would like to hear your thoughts, so leave the comments in the comment thing down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.